Hey everyone, welcome to another deep dive.
It's good to be back.
So today we're tackling something I think a lot of us can relate to. How to fix our sleep schedules.
Oh, yeah, sleep or the lack thereof.
Exactly. We're using this really insightful article from the Sleep Foundation called How to Fix Your Sleep Schedule.
They got some great tips in there.
Yeah, it really breaks down the science of sleep in a way that's easy to understand, and it gives some practical advice on how to reset your sleep routine.
And I think that's what people are really looking for, right? The actionable steps.
Totally. So one of the things that jumped out at me right away was this idea that humans are creatures of habit.
That's so true, and it applies to sleep as well.
Yeah, it's like we crave those routines, even when it comes to when we hit the hay and when we wake up.
Right, and when you have a consistent sleep schedule, your body actually gets used to this predictable pattern, and it makes it easier to fall asleep and wake up feeling refreshed.
It's like setting an internal alarm clock.
Exactly. And the more consistent you are, the better that internal clock works.
That makes sense. So if we're trying to reset our sleep schedules, it's not about just going to bed early one night. It's about establishing a regular routine that we can stick to.
Exactly. Consistency is key. But
Hmm.
here's where things get even more interesting. You know how the article mentions circadian rhythms?
Yeah, our internal clock.
Well, it turns out there's a lot more to it than just that.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Your circadian rhythm is basically a 24-hour cycle that regulates a whole bunch of bodily functions, not just sleep.
Wow, I had no idea it was that complex.
It is. And one of the biggest factors that influences your circadian rhythm is light exposure.
Light exposure, so like getting enough sunlight during the day.
That's part of it, but it's also about minimizing artificial light at night, especially in the hours leading up to bedtime.
So that late night scrolling habit is a no-no.
Pretty much. Even dim light from your phone or computer can suppress melatonin production,
Mm.
which is the hormone that helps you fall asleep.
Wow, didn't realize it was that sensitive.
It is. So creating a truly dark sleep environment is really important. That means dimming the lights, blackout curtains, and yes, putting those devices away.
I guess I'll have to find a new bedtime story.
Maybe an audiobook. But in all seriousness, light plays a huge role in regulating your sleep-wake cycle. So if you're trying to reset your sleep schedule, paying attention to light exposure is a must.
So we've got consistency and light exposure down. What else can throw our sleep schedules out of whack?
Oh, there are a few usual suspects. Jet lag is a classic one.
Ugh, the worst. It takes me days to recover from a time zone change.
It's like your internal clock is totally confused.
Tell me about it. And then there's shift work. Talk about a sleep schedule disruptor.
Yeah, imagine trying to sleep when your body is programmed to be awake. It's tough.
And I'm sure a lot of people can relate to the fluctuating sleep schedule problem, trying to catch up on sleep on the weekends, but then feeling even more tired on Monday morning.
That's a common one. We think we're doing ourselves a favor, but it actually just messes with our sleep patterns even more.
And let's not forget about stress and emotions. I know when I'm anxious, it's almost impossible to fall asleep.
Totally. If your mind is racing, it's going to be hard to relax and drift off.
So it sounds like there are a lot of things that can interfere with our sleep.
There are. But the good news is there are also a lot of things we can do to fix it.
That's what I like to hear. So let's dive into those solutions.
Sounds good. Let's talk about how to actually reset your sleep schedule. Okay, so let's talk about resetting your sleep schedule.
I'm all ears.
Well, the article really stresses the importance of choosing a consistent bedtime and wake-up time.
Easier said than done, am I right?
I hear you, but trust me, it's worth it.
So how do we actually make that happen? Like, where do we even begin?
Well, they suggest starting with adjusting your wake-up time first.
Interesting. Why the wake-up time and not bedtime?
It's all about working with your body's natural rhythms. When you wake up at the same time every day, even on weekends, it helps to regulate your circadian rhythm, and that makes it easier to fall asleep at a consistent time, too.
So it's kind of like a domino effect.
Exactly. And once you've adjusted your wake-up time, you can start gradually moving your bedtime earlier, too.
Got it. So baby steps are key.
Exactly. No need to overhaul your whole sleep schedule overnight. Just make small adjustments over time.
Okay, that sounds manageable. But what about those other sleep hygiene tips we were talking about? Like, what can we do throughout the day to set ourselves up for better sleep at night?
Oh, there are tons of things. We already talked about light exposure, but it's worth reiterating that getting enough daylight during the day is crucial.
Soaking up those rays.
Exactly. And then on the flip side, minimizing artificial light at night is super important
So ditch the screens before bed.
as much as possible. But it's not just about screens. Think about dimming the lights in your house too, an hour or two before bed.
Okay, so like candlelight dinners every night.
You know what? That's not a bad idea. It's all about creating a relaxing and calming atmosphere that signals to your body it's time to wind down.
I can get behind that. What about exercise?
Ah, yes, exercise. It's great for sleep, but timing is everything.
Right, we don't want to be hitting the gym right before bed.
Exactly. Try to finish any intense workouts a few hours before bedtime so your body has time to cool down and relax.
Okay, noted. What about those pre-sleep rituals we were talking about?
Those are key. Creating a relaxing bedtime routine can really help signal to your body and mind that it's time for sleep.
Like, what kind of things are we talking about?
Whatever works for you. Maybe it's a warm bath, reading a book, listening to calming music, or practicing some relaxation techniques like deep breathing or meditation.
So it's all about finding what helps you unwind and de-stress.
Precisely. And speaking of de-stressing, how do you feel about naps?
I love a good nap, but I've heard they can mess with your sleep schedule.
They can if you're not careful. The key is to keep them short, no more than 30 minutes, and to take them early in the afternoon.
So a quick power nap, not a full-blown siesta.
Exactly. Think of it as a way to recharge, not to replace your nighttime sleep.
Makes sense. Okay, so we've covered light exercise relaxation techniques and naps. What about the usual suspects? Caffeine and alcohol.
Ah, yes, those two. It's best to limit both, especially in the hours leading up to bedtime.
So no more late-night coffee or nightcaps.
I'd recommend avoiding them. They can interfere with your sleep cycles and prevent you from getting that deep, restful sleep you need.
Okay, I can give that up. But what if you've tried all these things and you're still struggling? Is there anything else you can do?
That's a great question. And it's important to remember that everyone is different. What works for one person might not work for another. So if you've tried all the lifestyle changes and you're still having trouble sleeping, it might be time to talk to your doctor.
That makes sense. They can help rule out any underlying medical conditions or offer more personalized advice.
Exactly. And the article does mention a few medical treatments that can be helpful. For example, melatonin supplements can be an option for some people, but it's important to talk to your doctor before starting any new supplements.
I've also heard of light therapy. What's that all about?
Light therapy involves sitting in front of a special light box for a certain amount of time, usually in the morning. It's thought to help reset your circadian rhythm by providing a dose of bright light that mimics sunlight. It can be particularly helpful for people who struggle with seasonal affective disorder or those who have trouble getting enough natural light during the day.
Interesting. So it's kind of like tricking your brain into thinking it's summertime, even when it's gloomy outside.
You could say that. And then there's CDTI, which stands for Cognitive Behavioral Therapy for Insomnia.
CBT for insomnia. Tell me more.
It's a type of therapy that focuses on identifying and changing negative thoughts and behaviors related to sleep. It can teach you relaxation techniques and help you develop healthier sleep habits. It can be really effective for people who have chronic insomnia.
Wow, there are so many different avenues to explore when it comes to fixing your sleep. I'm curious, though, what about the idea that pulling an all-nighter can reset your sleep? Is there any truth to that?
That's a common myth, unfortunately. But in reality, pulling an all-nighter can actually make your sleep problems worse.
Really? Why is that?
It disrupts your natural sleep-wake cycle and throws off your circadian rhythm, which can lead to more sleep problems down the road.
So basically avoid all-nighters at all costs.
Pretty much. Remember, healthy sleep is about establishing consistent patterns and working with your body's natural rhythms. It's not about forcing yourself to stay awake or trying to trick your body into sleeping.
That makes a lot of sense.
Ah.
This has been so eye-opening. I feel like I have a much better understanding of how sleep works and what I can do to improve mine. But before we wrap up, is there anything else we should know about creating that optimal sleep environment?
Yeah, we talked about light and exercise and even those relaxing bedtime rituals, but is there anything else we could do to optimize our sleep environment?
Oh, yeah, definitely. One thing people often overlook is temperature.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, the article suggests aiming for a cool bedroom somewhere around 65 degrees Fahrenheit.
Really? That seems a little chilly. I'm more of a warm and cozy sleeper. I hear you, but there's a scientific reason for it. When your body temperature drops, it actually signals to your brain that it's time for sleep.
Huh. So a cooler room can help me fall asleep faster.
Exactly. And it can help you stay asleep longer, too.
Okay, I'm willing to give it a try. Maybe I'll just grab an extra blanket.
Or a fan.
Good idea. And what about noise? I'm a light sleeper, so any little sound can wake me up.
Yeah, noise can be a major sleep disruptor. If you live in a noisy area, I'd recommend trying earplugs or a white noise machine to block out those distracting sounds.
These white noise machines are lifesavers. It's all about creating that peaceful and quiet atmosphere.
Exactly. And here's another tip, something that's not in the article, but I think it's worth mentioning. Pay attention to your bedding.
Oh, yeah. I've definitely had those nights where I just can't get comfortable because of scratchy sheets or a lumpy pillow.
It makes a huge difference. So invest in some high-quality sheets, a supportive mattress, and pillows that suit your sleeping position. It can really improve the quality of your sleep.
I like the sound of that. It's
Okay.
like creating a little sleep haven.
Exactly. So we've covered a lot of ground today, lots of great tips for resetting your sleep schedule.
Yeah, this deep dive has been so helpful. I feel like I have a whole new understanding of how sleep works and what I can do to make mine better.
I'm glad to hear that. Remember, it's all about making gradual changes, finding what works for you, and being patient with yourself.
Absolutely. So, as we wrap up, is there one final piece of advice you would give to our listeners?
I'd say just start small. Don't try to change everything at once. Just pick one thing. Maybe it's dimming the lights an hour before bed or creating a relaxing bedtime routine and focus on that.
Those little changes can add up to big results over time.
Exactly. And remember, healthy sleep is a journey, not a destination. So be kind to yourself, celebrate your progress, and never give up on the pursuit of a good night's sleep.
Well said. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. We'll see you next time.
Sleep well, everyone.